नमस्कार, माझे नाव संदीप मार्टिन वर्लीकर आणि आज आम्ही दूरदर्शनाचे स्टुडियोवर आयिल्ले आसा. आज आम्ही वर्ल्ड रेबीज डे हे सेलिब्रेट करच्या आदाराक आनी आमचे बरोबर आमचे दोन नामनीक दोतोर आसा. वी हॅव विथ अस डॉक्टर Mervin Lopez, who is a deputy director with the animal husbandry and also the nodal officer for the Mission Rabies in Goa. So also to my immediate left we have Dr.Murugan Appupillai, who is the director for Mission Rabies in Goa, and to my extreme left we have Mr.Ashok Negeri, the education officer for Mission Rabies. So welcome to you all to our studio at Doordarshan. तुमचो तिगांचो येवकार आसा. वो आमी 28 सप्टेंबर ह्या दिसाक आमी मिशन रेबीज वर्ल्ड रेबीज डे सेलिब्रेट करता. तर टू बिगीन विथ म्हाका सुरवात करून दी डॉक्टर मुर्गना कडल्यान. वॉट इज वर्ल्ड रेबीज डे?
Namaskar. As you know, 28th of September every year is celebrated as World Rabies Day. This is in fact the death anniversary of one scientist by name Louis Pasteur, who developed this vaccine about 130 years ago, and this is actually a awareness day. So throughout the world we need to create awareness about rabies on this particular day, and particularly we need to create awareness very seriously. The reason is, you know, in COVID for example we lost lot of lives in India and elsewhere in the world, but that was the reason, because we didn't have any vaccine for this. Now we have developed and we are able to save their lives. But in the case of rabies, we have developed vaccine about 130 years ago by Dr. Louis Pasteur. But even after 130 years, we are not able to eliminate rabies. We are not able to control rabies. That is the pity part of it. So awareness is required throughout the world. So we need to do something more on this. So that is why particularly this particular day, we want to create at least more and more and more of awareness to the public, to understand what is rabies, to understand how serious it is, to understand how to stop it. All these things we have to create on this day. Thank you.
तर दोतोरान सांगला त्या प्रमाणे रेबीजाचे वॅक्सीन येयल्ल्याक ऑलमोस्ट 130 वर्सां मायज जाल्लीं आसा, पूण अजुनूय आमी कंट्रोल करूंक शकूंक ना. पूण दुसरी गजाल म्हणल्यार रेबीज मिशन गोंयान, इंडियान आनी आख्ख्या संवसाराक बऱ्या भाशेन चल्लेली आसा. एफर्ट्स कंटिन्युअस आसा. ऑन फील्ड ऑन ग्राउंड आमचे जे कार्यकर्ते आसात ते काम करत असतात. आता म्हाका डॉक्टर मार्विन लोपेजाक विचारून दी की आमच्या गव्हर्मेंटान रेबीज कंट्रोल करपाक कितें कितें केल्लें आसा आनी प्रेझेंट स्टेटस कितें आसा गोंयान?
Namaskar. Government of Goa was the first start Korpak in all the states, among all the states in Goa. In India, Goa was the first to start a campaign against rabies. We have started it in 2015, and from 2015 till now, we have vaccinated around more than 5 lakh vaccinations done more than 5 lakhs vaccinations in dogs. Okay, this was done by a memorandum of understanding signed by the government of Goa with Mission Rabies. And what have we achieved with this? We have today 0 cases in humans since September 2017. Okay, so it's almost 4 years where we don't have a single case of human rabies reported in Goa. So besides that, in dogs, not a single case has been reported since last 2 years. Yeah, last 2 years in 8 talukas. But in the bordering talukas of Goa, that is in Perne, Bicholi, Satari and Kankon, since our neighboring states are endemic, there are isolated cases of rabies being reported still. But in the remaining 8 talukas, we don't have rabies cases being reported now. So thanks to this, today Goa has been declared as a rabies controlled state. Okay, so what does this rabies controlled area mean? It doesn't mean that we can stop vaccination. We have to continue doing vaccination because our states neighboring states are still endemic for rabies, the chances of reintroduction of the virus is always there. So we have to continue doing vaccinations, but we are going to restrict it in a new strategy. Earlier, all the stray dogs were being, all over Goa were being vaccinated. So now, since we have achieved this milestone of reduced incidence of rabies, we will start something called as static point vaccinations. Okay, that static point vaccinations I will explain.
ओके
Yeah.
तर दोतोर लोपीस अशें समजून येता की आमच्या 12 तालुक्यांतल्यान 1 तालुक्यान आमी खूब बरें काम करता, बाकीचे फक्त अडचणी येता म्हणून आमी करूंक शकना. बट इन स्पायट ऑफ दॅट यू ऑल आर ट्रायंग टू डू युअर बेस्ट and see that all 12 talukas are doing a good job as far as you wouldn't say eradicating. It will always be a continuous process. It will always be a continuous mission which we have to go through. Let me go back to Dr. Murugan. Since this mission is on, how much of the central support or central coordination is necessary, and what is the strategy that you all go about to, coordinate, strategize, or maybe get together in working towards a common cause?
Yes, actually this elimination process or the control process consists of 3 components.
Okay.
The one is vaccination. Vaccinate as you say in COVID, the same thing. So vaccination is the only solution. So to support this vaccination, we do education, because unless people know about it, even in COVID also, when the awareness was lacking in the beginning, there was no take off for the vaccinations, but later on it picked up. Similarly, unless the people are aware about the benefits of this vaccination and how this is helping, that is difficult. So the education is part of the project. Then there is a surveillance part of it, that is doing research and finding out how much it is, where the virus is available, whether it is in the border or in the other areas, testing the samples, and also whenever there is a report of rabies, we have a hotline number, 24 hours hotline number for rabies. So any people who report about a rabid dog running around, then our team rush to the spot and they take the dog and we test it. So that work is going on, that is the surveillance area. So all this put together, vaccination, education and surveillance, this is the components of the project which is doing fantastic, and we were able to achieve the results here. So as Dr. Marvin Lopez mentioned to just now, this has resulted in no human rabies cases since 2017, end of 2017, no cases at all. But in animals as well, from 2018 onwards, there is no cases in other talukas. But as doctor rightly pointed out, the border is the greatest challenge for us. So during the COVID time, the medical doctors were very busy controlling the COVID. At the same time, the veterinary doctors were also very busy, because during the COVID, all the hotels were closed, in Maharashtra, and especially Maharashtra, Goa, it was okay for some time. So that time, due to the hotels were closed, the dogs could not find food. So they started migrating to Goa. So we started getting new cases all over in the border areas. That was a great challenge. The government gave special permission for the team to move around during the COVID time. So we were going on, doing about 15 to 17 cases have been dealt with during that time alone. So that was a great challenge, we are doing it. But as doctor said, in this point, I have to congratulate the Goa government as well, because but for Goa government, there is no project. And there is no history of rabies controlled area in India. This is the first state in India. For that, we have to congratulate the Goa state, and also I have to congratulate Dr. Marvin Lopez, because his the challenges and his support and his ideas and the guidance is fantastic, phenomenal. So due to this, all this support, quick support from the government, because for each and everything the government needs to act.
Exactly.
So he was behind it. So through the quick support, we were able to act very fast, and we were able to achieve to this level. This may not be possible in other states, but for the support.
इतल्या तरी समजून येता की डॉक्टर मुर्गन आणि डॉक्टर माविनाची तरी कोऑर्डिनेशन खूब बरी चल्लेली आसा. आनीक होय, हांवें पर्सनली सुद्दां पळयलेलें आसा की गोंयान आमचे खुबशे सिटीजन्स आसा कोवीड टायमान सुण्यांक जेवण घालताले, स्वता स्ट्रीट्सान भोंवन जेवण घालताले, उदकाक जागो करताले. अगेन डॉक्टर मुर्गन हॅज एक्सप्लेन टू अस की it's not only about all the time challenging it into vaccination and other this, it's about education. The minute we educate our citizens Goa and Indian citizens, that's the better way and I think the more fruitfulness that we would be able to achieve as far as fighting this mission rabies. Okay, let me go to our very dear friend, Mr. Ashok Negeri, who is an education officer with Mission Rabies. Ashok बाब म्हाका एक सांग, हे आतां आमचे एड्युकेशन ऑफ मिशन रेबीज चल्लेले आसा, ते तुमी कम्युनिटी आनी भुरग्यां पर्यंत कशें पावयता? हाऊ डू यू सी दॅट दिस रीचीज द कम्युनिटी अँड दी चिल्ड्रन? Do you all have a tie-up with schools, or do you all have a tie-up with some NGOs, or do you all have a tie-up with certain societies and colonies? How do you go about it?
नमस्कार, अशोक मनोहर मेघेरी, एजुकेशन ऑफिसर मिशन रेबीज गोवा। सर, वर्ल्ड रेबीज़ डे पूरे संसार में मना रहे कि किस तरह जो रेबीज़ का जो रोग है बहुत ही खतरनाक है एक्चुअली, और मैं जानता हूँ कि किस तरह लोगों को इसके बारे में मालूम नहीं है। जो बहुत सारे लोग, मैं जहाँ पर मैं जाता हूँ, स्कूल में जाता हूँ, कम्युनिटी से बताता हूँ कि लोगों को रेबीज़ का रोग क्या है, कैसा होता है, अभी तक मालूम नहीं है। लेकिन अभी गोवा में 1660 स्कूल्स है, उसमें से हम लोग 95% स्कूल को ऑलरेडी कवर किया है। सो जब भी मैं स्कूल में जाता हूँ, ज़्यादातर जो प्राइमरी से फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड से लेकर 10th स्टैंडर्ड प्लस स्कूल्स एंड कॉलेजेस और कम्युनिटीज़, महिला मंडल, हर एक डिपार्टमेंट में जो लेबरर्स है उनके पास भी हम लोग जाकर रेबीज़ के बारे में बताते हैं। लेकिन जब हम बताते कि उनके फर्स्ट जो रेबीज़ क्या है, ये रोग कैसा होता है, हर एक जानवर से ये रोग होने का चांसेस रहता है एक्चुअली। और अगर समझो कौन सा जानवर ज़्यादातर किस जानवर से होता है, जो कुत्ता के साथ हम सब लोग रहते हैं, जो हमारे घर में है, जो बाहर है, सो ज़्यादातर ये जो बीमार होता है, रेबीज़ का बीमार कुत्ता के द्वारा होता है। और जब क्या होता है, जब बच्चे लोग ज़्यादातर कुत्ता के साथ खेलते रहते, तो कभी कभी उनको काट सकता है। तो क्या होता है, ज़्यादातर बच्चों लोग परेशान करते कुत्ते के, कभी कभी कुत्ते के साथ खेलना एक हो सकता है। खेलते समय अगर वो लोग उसका पूंछ को पकड़ लिया तो काट सकता है। कभी कुत्ते के ऊपर पत्थर फेंकते तभी काट सकता है। कभी कभी वो लोग भागते तभी कुत्ता उनको काट सकता है। कभी कभी वो लोग परेशान करते कुत्ते को तभी काट सकता है। तो ये किस तरह वो लोग ये इससे दूर रहना चाहिए कुत्ता काटने से। तो हम उनको बताते कि अगर कुत्ता आपके साथ है या आपके पीछे आ रहा है तो दौड़ो मत, भागो मत, आप लोग वहाँ पर रुक के किस दूसरी दिशा पर देखो, ताकि वो आप लोग उससे दूर हो सकते। तो वो हम बताते। और कुत्ता के ऊपर कभी भी पत्थर फेंकना नहीं चाहिए। पत्थर फेंकने से वो बहुत गुस्सा में आ सकता है और आपको काट सकता है, वो हम लोग बताते। पूंछ को पकड़ कर खेलना नहीं चाहिए। ये सब उनको ये इंस्ट्रक्शन उनको बच्चों को हम लोग देते ताकि वो लोग कुत्ता काटने से कैसा दूर रहना चाहिए। ओके। और एक बात है, अगर हम लोग ये भी बताते बच्चों को कि अगर समझो बाय मिस्टेक उनको आपको कुत्ता ने काट लिया तो क्या करना चाहिए, तो हम उनको बताते अगर कुत्ता ने काट लिया तो फर्स्ट पहले क्या करना चाहिए कि उस जो गाँव को पानी से, बहते हुए पानी से, साबुन से, कोई भी साबुन, कभी कभी ऐसा नहीं अगर मैंने लक्स बोला तो सब लोग लक्स ही इस्तेमाल करें, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, कोई भी साबुन लेके उसको 15 मिनट धोना जरूरी रहता है। ओके, 15 मिनट। क्यों ऐसा बोलते कि अगर समझो कोई जो कुत्ता काटा है, अगर जो पागल कुत्ता ने काटा है तो अगर उनके अंदर कुछ कीटाणु आया है तो तुरंत बहुत सारे कीटाणु मर सकता है। तो पहला है कि वो लोग धोना चाहिए, उसको 15 मिनट धोना चाहिए। धोने के बाद तुरंत डॉक्टर के पास जाकर 4 एंटी रेबीज इंजेक्शन लेना जरूरी है। और ये उनको हम इंस्ट्रक्शन देते हैं एक्चुअली, तुरंत होना चाहिए। और एक हम बताते कि कैसा पहचानेगा तुम, अगर समझो कुत्ता, सब कुत्ता पागल तो नहीं है। ओके, कभी कभी अगर समझो कुत्ता पागल हो गया, कुछ लक्षण हो जाता है एक्चुअली, उसके अंदर कुछ लक्षण रहता है कि पता चलता है कि हाँ ये कुत्ता पागल है करके। उसमें हम लोग बताते हैं बच्चों की अगर समझो कुत्ता पागल हो गया तो क्या करता है कि वो क्यों पागल हो गया कि ये कीटाणु की वजह से हुआ है। पहला उसका लक्षण ये रहता है कि वो इधर उधर भागने लगता है, सबको काटने लगता है, इंसान हो या कुछ चीज़ हो या कोई भी चीज़ को काटने के लिए दौड़ता है और बहुत पूरा गुस्से में रहता है, एक हो सकता है। ओके। और एक लक्षण है कि उसके मुंह से जो लाड़ है जो थू के बार बार गिरने लगता है, तो उसके अंदर कीटाणु रहता है, वो एक लक्षण हो सकता है। और वो कभी कभी वो चुपचाप बैठे हुआ रहता है। ऐसा नहीं कि हर एक कुत्ता अगर पागल हो गया तो कुछ कुत्ता पागल, तो कुछ कुत्ता के अंदर जो लक्षण है अलग रहता है, कुछ वो चुपचाप रहता है। ओके। तो ये सब उनका जो लक्षण है। ओके। कभी कभी क्या करता है, जंप करने लगता है, उनको लगता है कि कुछ है यहाँ पर, कुछ भी नहीं, कॉल्ड हेलुसिनेशन बोलता है उसको। तो ये लक्षण बच्चों को सिखाते हम लोग और लोगों को भी इसके बारे में सिखाते कि अगर ऐसा लक्षण है तो हम लोग और भी गंभीर रहना चाहिए। लेकिन कोई भी कुत्ता काटने से उस गांव को धोना जरूर है। ये वो पागल कुत्ता हो या अच्छा कुत्ता, कोई भी कुत्ता काटने से 2 के 15 मिनट उसको साबुन से धो के इंजेक्शन लेना जरूर है। तो ये पूरा इंफॉर्मेशन में हर एक स्कूल में, एक्चुअली 1660 स्कूल में 95% स्कूल ऑलरेडी हम लोगों ने कवर किया है। 5 लाख ऊपर बच्चों को हम लोगों ने इसके बारे में सिखाया है। तो ये मेरा काम है लोगों को जागृत करने का, उनको बताने का इसके बारे में, रेबीज के बारे में।
तर आमचे मित्रान अशोकान खुबशी म्हायती दिल्ली आसा। पयले म्हणटा ते आमकां जशें आतां कोवीड टायमाक खबर आसा की सिम्टम्स कितें आसा, लक्षण कितें आसता, खासी येता, जोर येता, स्मेल येना, तशेंच रेबीजान सुद्दां सुण्यांक कशें पारखेवपाचें की ताका रेबीज जाल्लें आसा हें आमच्या अशोक बाबान बरे भशेन सांगलेलें आसा की तो सुणो एक तर बेश्टोच पिसो कसो धांवंक लागता, तो धांवंक लागलो की लागीं येलो की एक जाग्यार उबो रावपाचो, तेजेर फातोर मारपाचें नासता। दुसरें म्हणटा ते ताका एक भास कसो जाता कितें कितें आसा तो उडयो मारूंक लागता, ना तर तेजे तोंडांतल्यान गाळ देंवंक लागता। आनी दुसरें म्हणटा ते सांगले ते भशेन एकदां शांत आसूंक शकता, चड शांत जावंक शकता। ते 3-4 लक्षणां कळले की एक समजून घेवंक शकता की ताका रेबीज जाल्ली आसा। तेजे पासून आमी दूर रावपाचें, पयस रावपाचें। आनी सुण्यांक रेबीज आसूं किंवा नासूं, आमचे हिंगा इन्फॉर्मेशन दिल्या त्या प्रमाणे एकदां सुण्यान घास मारले की पयलीं म्हणटा तो घाव धुवपाचो आनी बेगीत बेगीत आमी दोतोरा कडेन वचपाचें।
And not every bite will be a rabid bite.
Right.
So any bite of a dog doesn't mean that he's got rabies.
Exactly.
Dog can bite for many reasons.
Right.
Dog can bite because you had gone near his food.
Right.
Doesn't mean that that is a rabid bite. So there's no need to panic.
Correct.
Most important thing is also to observe the dog if possible.
दोतोर लोपेजान सांगला त्या भशेन मेन थिंग इज नॉट टू पॅनिक। हे आमचे सदांच्या जिवनात आसा, कितेंय गोश्ट येयल्यार फुडल्यान कोरोना जावं, रेबीज जावं, एक्सिडेंट जावं, कितेंय जावं, एग्जाम जावं, पॅनिक जावं। आनी एवरी टायम सुण्यान घास मारलो म्हणल्यार हेंय समजून घेवपाची गरज ना की तो रेबीज आसा, पूण प्रिकॉशन घेवपाची गरज आसा। तर म्हाका आतां परत डॉक्टर मुर्गना कडेन येवन दी। डॉक्टर मुर्गन, जैसे हमने देखा है कि बहुत सारे चैलेंजेस हैं, तो जैसे रेबीज मिशन को सक्सेसफुल और सक्सेसफुल बनाने के लिए ऐसे क्या चैलेंजेस हैं जो दिन बे दिन रेगुलर बेसिस पे आप लोगों को फेस करना पड़ता है? What do you all have to face?
Yes, actually the challenges as I told you was the virus entry from the neighboring states. That is the one biggest challenge which we are facing. But for that, as Dr. Lopez rightly said, we have to strengthen our borders and we have to continue to do this vaccination thing unless these states come forward, because the government of Goa has already returned to the other states to take this model. And in fact in Delhi also I went for a seminar, and when we presented the project, and the government of India has also congratulated this Goa model, and they have recommended this Goa model to all other states to take up and do this rabies control. But unfortunately, to be honest with you, and except Bangalore, no other states have taken it up. So unless other states are taking up, it is a bit challenge for Goa state to manage. But I mean, the government has decided to go ahead with this and maintain this status. That is one side of that. Other side, at the same time, we request this dog owners, for example. See, Goa is the best state in India to talk about animal welfare. Lot of dog feeders, Goans are animal lovers, in fact. So that is a plus point of that. With this environment, if this dog owners give a great support, for example, if they could get their dogs vaccinated, they have to make it as a mandatory to get the dogs vaccinated. Now we are going to introduce, doctor is going to explain about the static point vaccination. So we are going to introduce the static point. So they have to go to the centers and get their dogs vaccinated. So every year, annually, they have to get their dogs vaccinated. That is compulsory. So if they could support in this way, we can maintain this status very good. And number two, also they have to report any dog. For example, they should be vigilant from now. They should feel that our state is a controlled state. If they see any dog anywhere, immediately it should come to their mind to report it to the hotline number, and we are here to take care of that. The government is here to take care of that. So that attitude the people should develop, number two. And number three, when they are having a lot of dogs, unless, see, the population also means a lot to us. More population, it is difficult for control of rabies. less population, it's easy for us to control rabies. So similarly, for the population control, the main thing is the garbage and food waste disposal and the dog sterilization. So unless you sterilize your dogs, unless you stop the puppies, unwanted puppies, so the number of dogs are more in the street. So unless you control the garbage and unless control the food waste, it is increasing the number of dogs. So in this way, you have to the public should support us in the big way to control this dog population by doing this sterilization as well as by educating the people to avoid throwing this food waste on the road.
तर आता डॉक्टर मुर्गनान आमकां समजून दिला की पयलीं म्हणटा म्हाका दिसता आमी आमच्या गोंय सरकाराक कॉंग्रेच्युलेट करूंक जाय, कित्याक दोनी दोतोरांनी उलयला ते प्रमाणे आमचो गोंय सरकार एक खूब बरें काम करता आनी खूब प्रोत्साहीत करता आमच्या मिशन रेबीजाक की 100% वॅक्सिनेशन जावचें, 100% कितें आहा ते मिशनाचे स्ट्रॅटेजीज आसा ते आमी करून घेवचें म्हणून. त्याच प्रमाणे डिफिकल्टी हें आसा की शेजारचे जे आमचे स्टेट आसा तांचो तितलो आमकां कोऑपरेशन मेवना, मेवचो असो आमी मागता पूण मेवना. तर डॉक्टर लोपेज म्हाका एक सांग, जशें आतां डॉक्टर मुर्गनान सांगलां आमचे फ्युचर प्लॅन्स कितें. डॉक्टर जस्ट स्पोक अबाउट स्टॅटीक वॅक्सिनेशन एंड मे बी यू ऑल हॅव फ्यू मोर स्ट्रॅटेजीज. वॉट इज आवर फ्युचर प्लॅन?
So we have achieved this rabies control status, right? So now what we have to concentrate is on 3 strategies. One is we have static point vaccination. Static point vaccination will be done at every veterinary center, government or even NGOs. Okay, so in government we have the veterinary hospitals, we have the veterinary dispensaries, and we have sub centers. So from 28th September for 2 weeks we are going to have free vaccinations given to the public. So anybody having a dog is free to bring the dog to those centers, and vaccination will be done free of cost for their dogs. So this is one strategy. So we request cooperation from all the people and active participation in this vaccination, static point vaccination. It's very important that people understand that just because Goa has been declared as a rabies controlled area doesn't mean that Goa is rabies free. No. So they have to continue vaccinating their puppies or dogs, and they are required to do it once a year, and for that government is making this provision of static point vaccination. The second strategy is to control the entry of pets from outside the state through our borders. So accordingly, Mission Rabies has helped us also to set up banners indicating, that any animal being entering through the checkpost is required to show the vaccination certificate of the dog, and through the road entry, airport, ships, railways, everywhere it is announced now, so that any animal entering Goa has to be fully vaccinated. And the third, which is I think also very important, is that our neighboring states also have to take up. Fortunately, CDC, the Center of Disease Control in Delhi, has taken a very deep interest in the program we have done in Goa, where we have managed to control rabies. In fact, we have just submitted a success story to them of Goa. So they are very interested to implement it in the remaining parts of India. Also now I think Mission Rabies is considering introducing, with the help of approval of the government, of course, government of India, oral bait vaccines, right? So oral bait vaccines will reduce the cost of vaccinating for dogs which are totally feral and stray, in remote areas, because Goa was comparatively easy to vaccinate and control. Why? Because Goa is bounded on the west by the sea, on the east by the Western Ghats. So the only threat was from the north and from the south, right? So, but other states it may not be so easy.
Correct.
So
basically topography जे असता, डोंगरां असता, problem
topography wise
आमी
बरे इजी आसले करपाक.
रोखडेच आमी आमच्या अशोकाक एक सिंपल सो क्वेश्चन विचारता, आमकां टायमूय चड ना. म्हणल्यार अशोक बाब, आमकां एक सांग की तुमकडे कितलो फीडबॅक मेळता एक थोडक्यात सांग आमकां की फीडबॅक कितलो मेळता
या,
स्कुलां कडल्यान आनी भुरग्यां कडल्यान.
या अब जब भी मैं स्कूल में मैं जाता हूँ सर, एक्चुअली हमको इवन बच्चों लोग भी बताता है और प्लस टीचर लोग भी बताता है कि किस तरह उनके बच्चों के जो बिहेवियर है, जो उनका चरित्र है, बहुत सारे बदल गए. क्योंकि पहले क्या होता था कि कुत्ता बोले तो वो लोग डर जाते थे या भाग जाते थे, लेकिन जो ये टॉक देने के बाद हर समय बच्चों को हम लोग सिखाते हैं इसके बारे में, लेकिन उनके अंदर कुछ चरित्र में बदलाव आया है कि बच्चे लोग कुत्ता को परेशान नहीं करते, अभी कुत्ता के साथ रहते और उसके साथ दोस्त के समान रहते, तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, बहुत सारे चेंजेस आ चुका है बच्चों के अंदर.
तर एक बरी चर्चा जाली आमची आयज डॉक्टर मुर्गना कडेन, डॉक्टर लोपेजा कडेन आनीक आमचे ऑफिसर अशोका कडल्यान. तर म्हाका दिसता तुमच्या दोगांचे कोऑर्डिनेशन आनी आमचे बरे पैकी ऑफिसरां बरोबर आमचे जे मिशन आसा, रेबीज मिशन आसा, ते बरे पैकी सक्सेसफूल जातली अशी आमकां सगल्यांक आशा आसा. तुमी खूब बरें काम करता सरकाराच्या मदतान. थँक्यू फॉर बीइंग हियर डॉक्टर लोपेज, डॉक्टर मुर्गन एंड मिस्टर अशोक. व्हेरी नायस हॅविंग यू ऑल हियर. तुम्ही खूपशी माहिती आमच्या दर्शकांपर्यंत पावयल्या म्हणून देव बरें करूं.
Thank you very much.